Hi, mathematicians. This is Mrs. Shopper coming to you with some information on rectangles. We've talked about parallelograms. Now, a rectangle is a more specific type of parallelogram. So let's dive in right away, shall we? So rectangles is a parallelogram with four right angles, not sides. I should say angles. My mistake. By definition, they have all of these properties, and I should have put a little note card here. But I didn't, so we're going to pretend there's one there. But they have all four angles are right angles. The opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary, and the diagonals bisect each other. So when you look at this list, really all four angles are right angles is the only one that separates it from being a parallelogram. Otherwise, all of the other characteristics are part of a parallelogram, which makes them part of a rectangle. All right, the diagonals in a rectangle are congruent. Okay, so in a rectangle, the diagonals are congruent. They are not in parallelograms. They are in rectangles. So that's something we want you to write down. So in this quadrilateral, if GH is 6 and FH is 15, what is CJ? Okay, so we want to know what is this amount right here? What is GJ? So if FH is 15 and GH is 6, what is JG? Well, when we look at this, we know that in a rectangle, diagonals are congruent and they bisect each other. So if FH is congruent to GE, which it is, so we can say that GE has a measurement of 15 units or 15 feet. Well, if J is the intersection point, it would mean that it bisects it, which makes it the midpoint, which would make GJ equal to 7.5 feet. Okay, looking at those relationships. So at 6 is really not information that we need at all. So look at the next one. So in this rectangle, RTU, so this angle right here, is 8x plus 4, and yet SUR, that's this angle right here, is 3x minus 2. We need to find the measurement of x. Okay, so what do we know? We know that this measurement is 8x plus 4. We also know that RTU and TUP are congruent angles because PT and PU are the same measurement because the diagonals bisect each other. It makes it the isosceles triangles theorem, right? And so we can say that those are congruent. We also know that angle RUT, this angle right here, let me switch up colors a little bit because I know it can be confusing, that this angle is 90 degrees. So we know that 3x minus 2 and 8x plus 4 is complementary because it equals 90 degrees. So we can say 8x plus 4 plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 90 degrees. And so 11x plus 2 is 90. Make sure I'm adding those correctly. Yep. And then we can say that 11x equals 88 because I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So x equals 8. All right. The diagonals in a rectangle. The diagonals of a rectangle of a parallelogram are congruent, then the parallelogram is a rectangle. So this is talking about, okay, I know I have a parallelogram, and now I find out that my diagonals are congruent. Then I can say for sure that it's a rectangle. Again, diagonals are only congruent in rectangles, not in all parallelograms. Something to keep in mind. Okay. And that one is repeated twice. All right, let's go on to the next one. So we have to determine whether it's a rectangle using the distance formula. Okay, so when I'm looking at this triangle or this rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and plot out my points. So I have -2, 3. I have 1, 4. I have 3, -2. And I have 0, -3. Okay, so here's my rectangle. Now, instead of having to find the distance of all of them, we're going to use the distance formula to find the length of the diagonals, okay? So this is K, this is J, this is L, and this is M. So the distance of KM, that's what I'm going to work with first, okay? So the distance is equal to the quantity x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. So it's 1 squared plus 7 squared, so it's the square root of 50. Okay, so we've got the square root of 50. Now let's go ahead and work on the other 2 points. Let's look at L and J, so the other diagonal. Okay, so L, we've got the square root of the quantity -2 minus 3 squared plus the quantity 3 minus -2 squared. So we've got the square root of 5 squared plus 5 squared is the square root of 50. So because both of these diagonals are the same, square root of 50, then we can say that is indeed a rectangle. Okay, so we can prove that it's a rectangle. Okay, now there's a problem right here that I want you to do right here. This is your homework. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. I hope this made sense. And if you've got questions, make sure you reach out. All right, take care, and we'll see you all very soon.